Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
What's up, everybody? Toby Salgado here, Super Agents Live. Hey, man. Today, you know what? I don't know if you know this or not, but when you guys hear episodes, many times, these episodes I have recorded 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They're kind of old. I never do them. I never release them that right after I do them. Today's episode is different. I literally recorded this guy like 3 days ago, and I'm releasing it because I think you guys need to hear it. It's you know, we don't talk about lead generation necessarily. You know, we talk about marketing and advertising, and it's got a little different flavor than our typical episode. So I wanted to get it out to you guys as soon as possible. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. Really quickly, as you guys know, hashtag for this show is Unpack That Idea. As you guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, listen to this episode. If you don't want to miss future great conversations like this, I would urge you, suggest that you do two things. Go to the site, superagentslive.com, and download my free ebook, and register to become a part of our free membership site. There's lots of good info there, and it's all free. Sponsor. Hey, sponsor, Real Estate Radio Experts. If you want to level up and add 100 transactions, 200 transactions to your business, radio is the way to go. It's a proven method for capturing high-quality listing leads. And you know what? Better than that, it's uncrowded, man. When we get in there and negotiate rates and a spot schedule for you guys, we make sure that, one, nobody else is in that day part. You know, in that morning drive, for example, we make sure that the person that is on the radio gives you a live endorsement, says, hey, no, I wouldn't trust anybody except for Toby Salgado Realty Team to sell your house. It is crazy. People are literally getting deals. We put a guy on in Orlando. Day 2 got a listing. We put a guy in Charleston. Day 6 got 2 listings, paid for his whole 13-week campaign. So if you've been thinking about doing radio, send me an email. Go check out our new site, realestateradioexperts.com. Watch some of the videos, and I'll tell you, I sent that out to my list today, and literally my email inbox was getting crushed. So, hey, let's get to it. Today on the show, I'm pretty excited. Now, as you guys know, we bring top producing agents on. And I think I've told you guys, 2015, we're going to try to get more vendors on the show to unpack what they do and the benefit to you guys. Now, today's guest, he's an author, he's a CEO, he's a founder, he's a really varied background. Chris Smith of Curator. He runs Curator Systems, Curator.com. He has a hand in Dotloop, which we're going to get into a little bit, and he's an author of People Work. Now, if you don't know that book, that is a book that has been recommended a few times on this show. We're going to talk a little bit about, how you can grow a company 1,000% a year and still focus on the people. So I'm thrilled to welcome Chris Smith. Hey, Chris, thanks for taking the time out today.
No problem, Toby. Thanks for having me.
So listen, I've given the audience a brief overview of your big background, but maybe take a minute, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dig into those things. And I really want to get the audience and myself a feeling for the man behind the machine.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. And, I've been an entrepreneur and a salesperson my entire life. And what's happened in the last few years is just that the internet and technology have made that easier than ever before to be great at. So if you're an entrepreneur 20 or 30 years ago, or if you're a salesperson, there were limited numbers of leads, limited number of audience to reach. And with the way the internet's built and social media and email and SMS, the excuses are gone. So my background is, selling, getting a CD that came out Tuesday early from my buddy on a Saturday, making 50 copies on tapes, taking those to school and selling those for $5 each. And then just having a full-time job since I was 14. I've always just loved to work. So I've worked for some awesome companies. I've worked for the leading company in the mortgage lead generation space, which is Quicken Loans.
Oh, yeah.
Worked for the leading CRM company in real estate, which is Top Producer. Spent time with Realtor.com when they were the #1 website in real estate for consumers. And now with Loop and Curator and some of the things you mentioned, I feel like I take this really passionate consumer technology lens and I look at real estate and I just see a lot of things that are broken.
I agree. There's so many things. It's so funny. Real estate is one of those things, technology overall, right, has disintermediated many, many industries, right? Travel agents being one of them. And it's amazing that other than transactions listings coming online or being able to digitally sign a document, real estate really hasn't changed very much.
No, and I think that's what consumers are thirsty for. I think every consumer goes through the process and at the end thinks, there's got to be a better way. I mean, that's how Loop was built. That's how Greer Allen built, Boomtown, because his father was a broker who felt like there had to be a better way. So consumer frustration is at an all-time high because the other industries have evolved. I can book a flight in 2 clicks. I can pay for something with my fingerprint, right? But then we get into real estate and we actually still sit down at a closing table. We still sign 7 copies of things with a pen. And it just feels like there should be innovation happening. And there is, by the way. There's tons of innovation happening. So I think that, when consumers are frustrated and they're paying a huge commission, they're going to force you to innovate. And the top producers are doing that. And the rest of the industry is kind of holding us back. Yeah,
So a little bit, 15 minutes from now, I do want to talk about where you see the world in 6 months or a year, right? So what innovation is happening and how that's going to impact both the consumer as well as the real estate agent. Now, let's talk about Curator you have Curator.com and you have Curator Systems. Tell us what Curator.com is, because when I looked at it, it's a little bit similar to what I do here. But maybe tell us what that is.
Yeah, I think one of the industry kind of standards in the startup world these days, Toby, is having a free product, right? You offer something for free that's very valuable that people would pay for, and then you take that audience that you build there, and a certain percentage of them become upgrades to paying customers. We look at what we do no differently. We put out videos where we interview people in the same vein that you do, top producers, highly successful, people like Gary Vaynerchuk, people that come from some of the largest tech companies and brokerages in the industry. And we just share that. We don't, charge people. You don't even have to register. You can just go to the site and watch a bunch of great content. And then Curator Systems is actually an inbound marketing company that we started where we saw all the frustration with the technology landscape. Technology wasn't integrated. Marketing wasn't beautiful. Lead tracking and routing and lead conversion wasn't happening nearly at the rate that it should have been. And so we work with 200 top producing teams, and we do their marketing on Facebook and through email. We set up their CRM, their market reports, and all their technology so that it's integrated and automated. And then we coach them on where the marketing and technology and strategy puck is going. Because as you know, ads that worked a year ago, ads that worked 6 months ago are not the same ads that are going to work today. So it's marketing, technology, and coaching. And think about it as, having 200 people paying you multiple thousands of dollars per month to get them a return on investment from digital, which is what everybody's been trying to, crack the code on. And our customers love us. So, we have a lot of quantifiable data now. We spend $1.5 million a year on Facebook ads. We generate about 8,000 seller leads per month from Facebook for our customers. Our customers are generating twice as many buyer leads as that through Facebook marketing. So it's just been a lot of fun to kind of take what I was doing for my own brand, apply it obviously with quite a few adjustments to a real estate team or company, and we're having massive results. So it's a lot of fun.
Now, when that was a lot of information, number one. Number two, how you dove into that, how you started that whole thing. You said, hey, You talked about, providing value, providing content, a piece of content that people would pay for, get it, provide it for free. And then later try to convert those people into paying customers. Now, this is totally, I don't want to derail you at all, Chris, but I will tell you something. You and I probably think more like internet marketers than what, real estate people. And one thing that I do, and I'm sure I haven't looked at, but I'm sure you do, is give away a free ebook in exchange for an email to get those people into my sales funnel. I have talked with hundreds of real estate agents, and you know how many people are doing that? Literally like 2.
Yeah, it's really something that's uncommon, and it's actually called, if people go to Google and search Evernote cohort analysis, what Evernote found is that, people that download the app for free in the first month or 2 or 3 months, they're not willing to upgrade to premium. But by the 3rd year of having this really great, valuable free asset, about 30% of their customers upgrade to premium. And, you mentioned the ebook. We wrote a book called People Work that we've sold, almost 20,000 copies of. But you're right. When I speak at a conference, we give that digital book away in exchange for collecting a lead. And it's a very fair value proposition. And they get it, So, yeah, I think that's something everybody has to look at. Look beyond the CMA. Look beyond the MLS.
Right.
What are some things you can do? Like Jack Cotton wrote the book on selling luxury real estate. You look at guys like Kinder Reese that basically have done everything they can to show that they're different and that they bring a different expertise to the market. Things like podcasts, things like a great blog, things like videos on YouTube can definitely do that as well as an ebook. But it's just really taking that expertise that you have and putting it into a digital first world format.
Yeah. Right. And, Jay Kinder's been on the show, and here's what I do, Chris, is that I find people who are great marketers. You mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk or Dan Kennedy, all those guys, and I purposefully get into their funnels to see how they're marketing to me. Now, Jay Kennedy, in terms of being different, Jay's done some interesting stuff that he's since stopped doing, but he'll send out an email, and when you open the email, instead of having to click a link to watch a video, it auto plays, right? And all of a sudden I'm transported into his message just because it auto plays. And if he took out the friction of that one simple thing of, hitting that link.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about creating a frictionless experience. So, of course, there's people that don't want that email, and that's what the unsubscribe button is for. But for the people that do, that want to watch the video, want to download the podcast, you have to basically remove those barriers to entry. What you're getting at here, Toby, is that if you'll take an internet marketing mentality to your business as a real estate agent, you're going to have tremendous results. You don't even have to get as creative as Jay Kinder. You don't have to get as creative as Frank Kern or Dan Kennedy. If you'll just put simple marketing automation behind every lead that comes in so that they're called quickly, they're emailed and SMS'd right away, it really could be a game changer. We've seen real estate teams who the agents have gotten them to 40 or 50 million a year in sales. But when you take that skill and you apply technology and systems and an internet marketing mindset, you can go to 60 or 70 or 80 million in sales. So it's no different. And the beautiful thing about real estate is that the bait on the hook, which is the homes, people tend to actually love on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Instagram. Look at what Zillow does with their social media marketing. Look at what HGTV does. There's a way to showcase real estate that is very social media friendly, that can drive thousands of interactions and clicks and leads.
Yeah, you know what? And maybe that's your new book. Maybe you and I write a book on like this marketing like this. Because here's the issue: you and I know what a lead magnet is or a landing page, and most agents are like, I'll go, hey, go do a landing page, and let's do some Facebook ads and to promote that. And I even go, okay, go to leadpages.net, and people still they're just stuck. They're like, I don't know how to get from A to X or even A to F. So, well,
that means what that means, Toby, is that they have a people problem, not a product problem, right? Because what happened a couple of years ago is people wouldn't use an iPhone because it didn't have a keyboard and AT&T's reception was bad. but those things have been fixed, right? And now they didn't use landing pages because in the past it was a little tricky to use optimized press or to try to use unbounce or something like that. But now with lead pages, what you're saying, the excuse is kind of out the door. It takes 5 minutes, you get a page that converts really good, and you're off to the races. But the thing is, it's ideology. Like, they are not passionate about doing that activity, whether it makes them money or not. And so that is one of the chapters in our book, is that passion powers profit. If you're a real estate agent or a team or an admin or a brokerage, you have to have the right people doing the right things. And for a lot of guys that are 55 or 60 years old, lead pages ain't going to get them excited, man. But the results of what lead pages can do for their business, they're all in. And so to your original question, what is Curator? You know, that's where the idea for the company came from. We bet everybody's going to be sold on this, and nobody's going to want to actually have to do all this.
So, look, I'll be totally honest with you, Chris. You have you on your site, curatorsystems.com, you fill out a few boxes, and then you're able to watch a demo. You watch a video. I watched that video, and I watched it in the background, but I still didn't clearly understand what you guys did. So dumb it down here for me and the audience. What exactly do you do?
Sure. So we each month generate hundreds of buyer leads and seller leads through Facebook advertising for real estate teams. And then because we're generating hundreds of leads a month, we didn't want to just give them the leads and have them, put them in whatever kind of back-end technology they were using. So it's the ads on Facebook that capture hundreds of leads, but then it's the email follow-up campaigns, it's the CRM, it's the market reports. So it's an all-in-one digital marketing platform where instead of investing in a site and then having to go set up ads and drive traffic to it, we do both components. So we set up and run Facebook ads. That generates thousands of clicks and leads. Those leads go into a CRM and a marketing automation back end, like a Infusionsoft, HubSpot. We use a system called Follow Up Boss, and then we do coaching and lead management and all those other things. So we're lead generation and lead conversion, and we only work with so many people because Facebook can only serve up so many ads, kind of like Google AdWords.
Okay, so I get it. So you create the ads, you write the copy, you manage the deployment of dollars. When leads come in, you drop it into the CRM, and basically, as an agent or a team, I just then log into my CRM. I see who I should call today, and like it's all just delivered up for me on a plate.
Exactly. We just tee it up, and so things like lead pages and things like IDX and things like CRM and things like mass email, things like market reports and CMAs, instead of worrying about which one you're going to use and how you're going to set it up and is it going to talk to the other one, we've just taken that ball out of our customers' court. We choose the software, sign up for the software, integrate all the software, launch the campaigns, and then we hand the baton over. And it's a game changer compared to like starting at a setup wizard, Yeah.
So in terms of if you're going to pay for ads, right? I mean, Facebook is much cheaper than Google, but talk to me about the differences that you see in terms of deploying dollars on Facebook versus Google.
Sure. Google is search, and so the intent of the traffic is very high. So if somebody goes to Google and says homes for sale in Orlando, right? Mm-hmm. You're capturing them at what Google calls the zero moment of truth. They just search for what you sell, and you can pay to be there when they do. That is a very proven model that has worked for the last decade. Facebook advertising is different. Facebook, you're basically telling me who your perfect customer is. How old are they? How much money do they make? What zip codes do they live in? Did they go to college? What college did they go to? Do they own a home now or rent? And you basically would say, Chris, here is my perfect customer, right? And then we then put the advertisements in the news feed of that perfect customer for you. And so they didn't go to Facebook with intent. the way they went to Google, but through Facebook, you can create intent or you can draw out intent. So as an example, if a Facebook ad says, selling your home soon, ? Wouldn't you as an internet marketer agree that the intent on that click is where you'd want it to be?
Yeah.
Selling your home soon. Now, you could do the same ad, Toby, and say, want to know how much your home is worth. Both ads work. Both ads get clicks. The what is your home worth ad is going to be 100 people and 10 that are good. The selling your home soon ad is going to be 20 people and 10 that are good, right? Mm-hmm. So, you basically would tell me, here is the people I want to reach. Just like farming in the old days, right? I want to reach these neighborhoods because those are the people that I want to work with. Well, Facebook's the same way. Who are the people that you want to work with? And we will get your brand, your ads, your links, your site in front of them each and every day.
And then, so you're not, I don't want to get onto pricing, but just so are you, like, again, we do radio, as I told you. So the way we get paid, the radio treats us like a buyer's agent. So we get a piece of their spend. Is your, the way do you get a piece of the spend or is it just a straight, monthly fee that you charge people?
Yeah, we don't get any of the ad spend. So just like with Google, some companies will charge a premium to manage the dollars. That's not our model.
Okay.
We're charging for the software licenses, the marketing being set up and run for you, and then the coaching that we do. And our package for that, for software, coaching, and the marketing is $975 per month. And then we require $500 a month in ads. We've tested all kinds of numbers, but if you want to have a consistent volume and quality of leads, about a $500 a month package. So we're at like $1,500, but that includes about $300 or $400 worth of software, which people have to go out and sign up for. It includes $500 worth of ads. Our company feels a tremendous amount of value in what we do, for another $500 to $700 a month.
And this is the reason why I wanted to get a sense of that is, there's always with everything, there's always this sort of inflection point, right? So for you, you've played with a bunch of numbers at $500 per month Facebook ad spend. I think you're saying, hey, there's that inflection point. But what I want to bring out, I want to chat just a second about is if somebody doubles that, right? Because your price per spot. You have your $975, that's your fee. But if you double that to $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 in spend, all of a sudden your price per spot it goes down because your $997 is completely static. Did that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a saturation point with online advertising. I had a guy come up to me a few years back and he said, "Hey, Chris, I spent $40,000 on AdWords last year. And I made $400,000 from that. Mm-hmm. If I spend $80,000 this year, will I make $800K? The logic is there. What you're getting at is the answer is not always yes, because there's only, again, so many displays they'll give you. There's other people competing for that ad space. Also, Facebook doesn't want to saturate their users with the same ad over and over, right? They call that frequency. So what we found is that, yes, you can do $1 a day or $5 a day, and you're going to get some things coming in. But for whatever reason, when you get up closer to $10 to $15 a day budget, they see that you're running the campaign for a month or indefinitely. I definitely think it's like AdWords. They kind of grade the campaign. Yeah. They grade the clicks and things of that nature. So, it's just, Facebook advertising compared to running Google ads is easy on the surface. Yeah. But when you really break down, the successful elements of a Facebook ad, it's probably not that different than the successful elements of a bus ad back in the day or of a newspaper ad. It still comes down to the ad agency.
Yep. And I would agree that at some point, whether, if your minimum is 5 and you spend 2, there's you get dilution at some point. So let's talk about that, about the sophistication needed to run a successful Facebook ad campaign, because a lot of people say, well, geez, Toby, Chris, I can look at, find somebody else's ad that I think is good and copy it. And really what I want you to dig into is, people don't know what a custom audience is or how to create a lookalike audience. Talk about the sophistication needed again to run a successful Facebook campaign.
Yeah, when you start thinking about demographics and the targeting, that's when you really want to think about your seller advertising campaign. But what we found, honestly, Toby, for people that want to kind of get started, do it themselves, you want to basically run a campaign for buyers using your listings, and then just set that up to where it's advertised within 10 or 20 miles of your city. You can obsess about age and what they're interested in and all this other stuff, but to catch a lot of fish, sometimes you have to cast a wide net. And where you want to warm up the leads is not as much in your targeting as it is in your copywriting, right? You want to, again, push the wrong people away. So as an example with a listing, what we would teach people is show 4 or 5 of the pictures, but don't share the money shot, right? Keep that one behind the link. Talk about the square footage, talk about the bed, talk about the bath, talk about the proximity, talk about the amenities. But if you want the address and the price, that is behind a reg form, right? So don't necessarily think so much about, like, how am I going to overly target the human being? Think more about how through the ad can I provide enough information to keep the looky-loos happy, but then keep a couple things out of my ad so that the serious leads click through and register.
Yeah. So I was just...
And here's one other quick takeaway. The easiest way to get a campaign out the door that gets a lot of clicks and traction is actually to just boost a post, okay? Forget the ad manager. Forget going in and doing all that targeting and all that stuff. Go to your business page, do a status update, click boost post, and then target that update at the city that you live in and spend 20 or 40 bucks. I got advice a while back from a guy named Jason Fried. He's, written some really great books. He's actually the guy that started 37 Signals, which is Basecamp project management. And his advice was great, which was the sooner you start trying to make money online, the sooner you'll be good at making money online. And at the end of the day, realtors either haven't really tried, haven't done it with any strategy or thoughtfulness, right?
Yeah. So a person, you might know this guy. You know Rick Mulready?
I don't.
Okay, he's a big FB guy, Facebook ad guy. Do you have I know you do coaching behind Curator Systems. How come you haven't created a product to help people learn this?
Well, we're working on that. We feel like, a lot of companies, they try to be everything to everybody, and we have pretty big public brands. So the idea of any kind of one-time $300 or $400, curator coaching on digital marketing, we're confident that we can sell that off the shelf when the time is right. But when you look at the value over the lifetime that our premium customers bring us, you really have to justify a lot of those one-off $300 purchases, even to make up for one customer like we're bringing in. So, as we evolve, are we going to sell the cookbook? Yes, we are. I promise you. Yeah. But we want to make sure it's perfect, and we're still learning and running alongside of our customers. But let me tell you, we're getting really close to where we feel great about everything that we're doing. And once that happens, there will be a 9-week or a 15-week. I mean, look at Buffini, look at Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry. There's some amazing real estate coaches, but there really isn't anybody coaching people on marketing and technology that's relevant in the 2015. Sales coaching is critical. Yeah. The expired listing scripts are money. Having accountability and forcing yourself to hit your goals is huge. But for somebody to coach you on how to use your email better, how to use Facebook better, how to use Evernote better, there's a tremendous demand for that stuff, and we'll fulfill that when the time comes.
And I got to say, I've that's been in my back pocket for a long time. I want to do two things. I want to, one, create a course around just how to use Facebook. How people don't know how to. I know that sounds crazy, but people don't know how to do it. They're doing so many things wrong. So that number one, and then number two, I do want to create a course around how to do Facebook ads and create custom audiences, and what makes an ad good, right? And there's so many subtleties that make an ad good, and you gray out the back, and that's good. You don't gray out the back, that's anyhow.
Yeah.
So
no, I get it. There's two people that have in some ways done that. I know Ben Kinney put out what was called IMSD, which was Internet Marketing Specialist designation. It was ads that you could copy paste to Craigslist. It was a listing presentation for the iPad, a lot of training and how-to videos. Christina Wise put out something called the Paperless Agent. And those were both 7-figure plus initiatives,
Wow.
And so there is a huge demand for that. But, the other thing is for us, that's exciting, but we feel like we have the ability as a team to be an 8 or 9 figure company. And so, yes, that's exciting, but we also think that would take our eye off the bigger vision. So I'm a huge, one of the things you mentioned earlier, that's the best advice we've probably given so far, is to put yourself into as many people's funnels as you can and do it purposefully. I do it all the time. I see a Facebook ad, the image is compelling, it catches my attention. I'm like everyone else, Toby. I've got an email address that I use for that, versus my regular one. But, who are the top agents in your market? Who are the people doing Facebook now? Go in there, opt in, see what they send you, see the frequency, see the content. What would you do better? What would you do different? And then do it, right? That's the key.
Absolutely. So 8 or 9 figure business for you guys. I mean, it almost seems to me that, as I look or hear about all the stuff that you're doing, writing ads, you're monitoring the campaign, right? And that's a lot of people work. I mean, it seems like scalability would be an issue for you.
Yeah, with the actual setting up and running ads and things of that nature, scalability becomes part of it. And the book is called People Work. We're not against providing white glove one-to-one service for people. And that's part of the thing is people think that technology is just going to set itself up like, this idea that we can all just work smarter now. Well, you have to work really hard to get yourself in a position to work really smart.
Yeah.
And so scalability is an issue in the real estate industry, but we don't think that we've just kind of figured out something for realtors. We've got mortgage companies banging down our door. We've got brokerages that are looking at recruiting and retaining social advertising packages. We have huge companies like Remax that have $50 million television advertising budgets. They're going to take a good chunk of that over the next 5 years and put it more into digital and social. And so we're ready to help those people. If you look at VaynerMedia, what Gary's been able to build, it's scalable. You just keep hiring more people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, you're a super smart guy. You've worked at a lot of great companies. I'm assuming Gary personally, because and he's a fabulous marketer. What if we look out 6 months from now, 12 months? Look, here's the setup. There's all sorts of trainers out there, whether it's Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, Bob, whatever. And everybody says, all these coaches will say, oh, geez, you got to get ahead of the pack. You got to get 6 months ahead. The problem is nobody gives them an idea of what the world looks like in 6 months or 12 months to even, to try to position themselves to be ahead of the market. Where do you see the world at? Where do you see the market or marketing of from real estate agents in 6 months, 12 months? How do they win?
Well, part of it is that they have to invest in service technology, right?
Okay.
So every realtor in the country will invest in a sales coach to help them sell more, and they'll invest in leads to help them grow, right? They'll pay Zillow, they'll pay Trulia, they'll pay Realtor.com, they'll pay Curator, Boomtown, Tiger Lead, Zerple, Commissions Inc. Like, we could go through and just list lead providers, and those companies are thriving, and they do a great job of what they do. What's going to happen a year from now is that every customer, and the data is already supporting this, whereas in the past, when you got an internet lead, that lead would have only been a lead on average 1.5 to 2 times, right? And what I mean by that is they may have filled out one form on Zillow once, right? And then they may have filled out one other kind of give me a market report from realtor.com. So there were 2 times when the consumer became a lead. And what's starting to happen is that number's going up and up and up. It's almost at like 10 to 15 times. So over that 18-month cycle, when people are online and looking, there's going to be a consumer will be a lead. Think of it like how they do it at Lending Tree, right? You become a lead at Lending Tree, right? Mm-hmm. And then 15 people or 5 banks all at once are on top of you.
Yep.
What wins in that model? What do you think wins in that model, Toby? How about caring the most? How about response time? How about proving your expertise and using a script and digging deep and building rapport and asking for the business at the end of the call? The same things that have always worked. So the companies that are going to win, they're going to get the technology and systems in place so that they can go back to focusing on people skills, which now is going to be a little bit less outside salesy, right?
Yeah.
A little bit less belly to belly and a little bit more dialing for dollars, right? The good news is the Mike Ferry students and the people that have followed coaching for years and years, they've always been conditioned to call people to grow their business. What the internet's going to do and what systems allow is for you to call more people that are closer to doing something versus blind dialing. And as soon as you feel like that's where your company's at, then you're onto something. Then you are that 6 months ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And, the other thing that I would, and I think Jay is kind of taking this approach, but I think the messaging from agents needs to change a little bit. Not from, hey, this is, I'm a top producer, I sell this, or I could, I'll sell it in 30 days faster for 10% more. I think it's, I think people need to turn into truly advisors, right? Really, what you said earlier, how about caring more, right? And instead of talking about how to list their house, dig in and say, how much equity do you have here? What are you going to do? Like, how can I help you manage the funds from this instead of just like list with me?
Yeah, we call that thinking about the lifetime value of the customer. Mm-hmm. Even a company like Starbucks, we broke this down in People Work, they sell $3 cups of coffee, but they have $6 ticket prices. They have 3 times a week foot traffic by their customers. They only churn 25%. They keep most of their customers for life, and they know that the value of their customer is $15,000. And so they treat their customers that way each time. If you apply that logic and math to real estate customers can be worth $100,000 because if they use you 3 times, send you 3 people, and those 3 people send you 3 people, this is some serious LTV.
Yeah.
But if an internet lead calls in, we treat them like McDonald's. Number 4 is sold out. Want a number 5?
Right.
We don't care. Why are you moving in the first place? Like you mentioned. So when I was with Quicken Loans, Toby, in 2007, they were generating thousands of leads where you were on the phone with those people quick. So once that is off the plate, boom, back to digging deep, back to sales skills, back to building rapport, back to caring. And, that's what Gary preaches. Gary Vaynerchuk, give people a baker's dozen in a world where no one ever would anymore. You know?
Yeah. No, and I again, I'm in agreement with everything you're saying, and it's so funny to me, or it's tragic in a lot of ways that that whole lifetime value notion. Agents don't know what that is. They don't know. Most of them have not heard of LTV or lifetime value, and they've never really thought about it. And I think that. I asked somebody this yesterday, if somebody's really going to dig into that kind of metric, a lifetime value, I wonder if it's worth creating your business or being deliberate about saying, okay, listen, I'm going to attack millennials because, I'm going to get them into a starter home and then I'm going to turn them every 5 years for 20% more instead of going after that, $1 million house of the, from the boomer that's selling and, who knows what. So,
if you're calculating lifetime value, the people have to be alive, right? I mean, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Okay. So, I don't really exactly know where to go from here.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I ruined your segue. Yeah, but I really think I do agree. When you're looking to work with people over a 20-year period, they obviously need to be potentially, 20 to 60 now. But even a 60-year-old, even if they only buy one more home, they can be a tremendous source of referral business. You're right. And what we say in the book is that a people work company chooses their customers, not the other way around.
Right.
Because if you know that when you get that right customer, they do send you those referrals, their referrals send you referrals, you're going to make that 80, 100K over the lifetime. That will actually happen every time if you treated everybody like you treat those people.
Right. If
you treated your internet leads like you treated your referral leads.
Right. No. So we have to start wrapping up. So I'm going to ask you kind of a kooky question because I do think you're a wealth of knowledge here. And I don't know that I'm digging out all that I can out of you. So here's the crazy question. It's, what's something, Chris, what's something I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
How about what is something people can do to get on the phone with people talking about buying or selling their home in the next 48 hours that'll work for sure?
Yeah. How about that?
So one of the things that I found that, as marketing tools, I don't know what you use for your email, but probably Aweber or MailChimp or Infusionsoft or Aweber. I'm an Aweber guy. I do some video email through BombBomb.
Yep.
We actually at our company have white labeled Happy Grasshopper, which is another email marketing tool. So I'm an email marketing junkie. And what I've learned is that people are not sending mass emails that are kind of human and kind of plain text and basically just checking in. And what happens is when you just kind of go into your database and you send an email to a few hundred people, and you just say something along the lines of, hey, just checking in, haven't talked to you in a while, how's things going? That simple kind of email can get, number one, a ton of people replying. And you don't have to say, I list homes, I sell homes.
Yeah.
That's the corner that everybody tries to turn.
Yep.
What we feel like is if you have a nice email signature that's professional, it's going to be kind of obvious to remind them kind of who you are and what you do. And so there's two steps here. One is just taking the approach to mass email, and instead of sending a newsletter, instead of sending a big like HTML template, or instead of sending a listing or an open house or some kind of home renovation tip, send an email that just says, hey, I was thinking about you today, just wanted to check in and see if you needed anything from me.
Right.
And you're going to be amazed at the response. And then step two is that now that all these great email marketing systems exist, what you can do is when you're looking for people to call that are going to be more than likely remembering who you are and what you do, it's really useful to call the people that opened and clicked on the email that you sent. Mm-hmm. So you send a mass email, you print a report the next morning of everyone that clicked or opened, and then that becomes your call sheet of who you're going to keep in touch with. So it's called bursting your activities. You schedule your calls around people that you know also just opened your email, and those two little triggers have a huge impact. So hopefully that's the takeaway for your audience.
No, that's a great takeaway. And I think let me get your opinion on this, Chris. So I also use a MailChimp. So with MailChimp, as well as many other services, I can send out an email and I can see two things. I can see one, who opened it. Two, how many times they open it. And it's amazing for me. I'll send out an email saying, hey, I want to have you on the show. And sometimes people will literally open that email 14 times, but they won't call me and they won't return my email, which is, I don't understand that. But so here's the question. So you send out 100 emails. You get I tend to get really high open rate. So I get I'll get 29% open rate. So that if I get a 30% open rate, it means 70% of that list, 70 people in that case, did not open my email. What do you think about washing that out, right? So taking the 30% that did open it, washing that out, and then resending that same email, and maybe a different subject line, to that 70 that did not open it?
Yeah, it's kind of like parsing, and I'm a fan of it in certain cases, Toby. Okay. So, like, if I'm sending something like super valuable, as an example, hey, network, I wrote a freaking book and it's on Kickstarter and you can help me. If it's something like that, absolutely, I'm going to send it once, take everybody that didn't open it, change the subject line, and send it again. But to make that a standard operating procedure is probably too much. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, that's my advice. But I've done it. I do it. I just did it this week. It wasn't about who, actually opened the email to attend the webinar, we actually sent the follow-up recording for just who registered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the smaller you're willing to go with your segment, the better that data becomes. So as an example, when we really parse down, and you know this, we can get 60 or 70% open rate, 20 or 30% click. But your data you're mentioning, which we're pretty close to, around 30% open rate, that's sending it to 10,000 people. And so that is great. But if you'll take those 10,000, analyze what they've clicked on in the past, this is where things like Infusionsoft, that's why they're big companies, HubSpot, right? They're kind of moving them to new lists for you. But like you said, man, MailChimp, it makes it pretty easy, to segment by who opened.
Absolutely. So we're going to start wrapping up. I always ask the same last questions, the same three last questions, and I'm curious about all your responses. And the first one is this: you've blended internet marketing. You're a really smart guy with real estate, this old stodgy industry. Who for you has been a mentor to you?
Great question. I mean, for me, for sure, one of the ones that comes to mind right away is my co-author of People Work, which is Austin Allison. Mm-hmm. He's 29 years old now. He started the company at 23. He's Forbes 30 under 30. He was on the cover of Entrepreneur Magazine's Young Millionaires issue.
Wow.
And he wakes up every single morning earlier than me, works later than me, and works harder than most of the people listening right now. So he's been a huge inspiration and a mentor, and the People Work principles kind of came from his heart and came from his journey of building Dotloop. Some of the other people that come to mind, when I was able to work at Inman News and start to learn from Brad Inman, Brad Inman is kind of this, Switzerland in an industry that needs them badly, because every brokerage is biased and every tech company is going to say they're great. And so I think, a combination of knowing Brad Inman personally and then also just leveraging Inman News and going to their conferences and stuff, that has been a tremendous part of it as well. And there's also, there's some sales coaches. I mean, again, I'm a sales guy. And so some of the guys that were my sales coaches at Quicken Loans and that were my sales coaches, even at sales jobs before that, they would always say, this is a job where you're going to learn more than you're going to earn. And they were totally right because, the skills that I attained during my time with some of these companies have helped running a startup be 1,000 times easier. When there's money going into the register, it's a lot easier to run and grow a company than when you can't sell. So I think if people are listening, if you're not great at sales, get a great salesperson on your team. We have 2 great salespeople at Curator. I wake up every day passionate about sales. And if your business isn't growing, that could be the number one problem. You don't have anybody that loves to sell.
Yeah. And look, I'll tell you what, I've been a sales, my background, our backgrounds are relatively similar, and I'm a sales guy at heart, and I think I'm a great sales guy. And what I'm great at doing is I'm great at quickly creating a rapport, but I'm a closer, dude. I will close you. For you, Chris, what do you think makes a good salesperson?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. One is dig deep or go to sleep, right? If you're not willing to build rapport, one of the challenges with sales is that it's a call you might do thousands of times. So it's hard to remember that it's a call that the person's only going to do once, right? When you come from an inside sales call center where you're making 100 dials a day, talking to 5 people, 3 in full credit, 3 credits sold and 1 loan written, you start to realize that the only thing that matters in sales is how many meaningful conversations you have.
Yeah.
And then what I find happens is people say, I can't close. They don't know how to close. And all their opportunities to close were missed during the initial call.
Right.
They didn't build rapport. They didn't ask the right questions. They didn't do what I call a trial close, which is, wow, you guys are looking to save about $300. So if I can put something in front of you today that does that, you guys are pretty serious about moving forward.
Right.
Cool. Okay, great. Next question. So I would say what makes a great salesperson is, one, just kind of naturally enjoying it. Like, you have to love what you do. And so liking the art of the war. But 2 is just mental toughness, because in order to have those 5 meaningful conversations, you might have to hit dial 40 times. You might get hung up on a few times. You might have a few people saying, stop calling me. And you have to be able to get past that and then recognize when it's not one of those calls. Recognize this is a meaningful call, and then give that call the entire due justice of the process. Don't cut corners. All those things that people tend to do.
Got it. I love it, man. So my second question, my 3, is I'm going to ask for a book recommendation. Now, I'll give you the setup, but before you get there, I'm just going to tell everybody get yours. So everybody, if you haven't, Chris and Allison's book has been recommended many, many times on this show, and I think you should go get a copy. You can get a free copy on us. Go to audibletrial.com/superagentslive and get a copy. And I hope, Chris, that you're on Audible.
Yeah, we're not on Audible yet.
Okay.
I want Austin to be able to record it, and he's a very busy CEO of a fast-growing company, so trying to get him blocked off for a couple of days has not been easy, but we'll make that happen eventually.
Okay.
But we don't have the audiobook. We're on Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and obviously we have the print copy as well.
Okay. Here's the setup. Here's the setup. So I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go get today?
Yeah, I'll recommend 2 books based on our conversation, because we talked a lot about marketing and technology, right? Mm-hmm. And connecting the dots and X's and O's. So 2 books that I highly recommend. One is from an author named Mitch Joel. His book is called 6 Pixels of Separation. And for people that still can't quite see how the digital dots work, they want to believe, but they just haven't had that one place where they have that light bulb moment. 6 Pixels of Separation is that. The other one is called Inbound Marketing, which is actually from the co-founders of HubSpot. And that book, there's not a more tactical how-to on internet marketing than that book, ranging from SEO to web design to landing pages to email marketing to reviews. Brian and Dharmesh, the co-founders of HubSpot, and the book's a couple of years old, but they've updated it. They really wrote the Bible and the playbook for internet marketing. So, the 6 Pixels of Separation, there's certainly some great suggestions and some how-to. But if you feel like if somebody would hand me a manual, I would go do everything this weekend. Inbound Marketing from HubSpot is awesome.
And I'm looking for that. It sounds good. I've not heard about that, and I'm going to get a copy myself. So by David Meerman Scott, Halligan, Brian Shaw, Dharmesh. Okay, this is it. Okay.
Yeah.
Inbound marketing, get found using Google, social media, and blogs. Okay. For you, man, my last question to you is, do you have a personal habit that you feel has contributed to your success?
That's a good question. I would just say I've always genuinely liked people. I mean, it's funny when I meet realtors that will admit that they just don't like people.
Yeah.
I think that, when you're either trying to grow a business or fix your marriage or raise your kids right, just having that genuine, taking a step back and realizing that the only thing we have in life is time, that most of the world out there has it way worse than you.
Yeah.
For me, I just try to keep everything in perspective. I try never get too high, never get too low. The big accolades, big failures, they're going to happen if you're a human being. So, just be ready for them. But yeah, I don't really know what the answer is in there, but my genuine interest in what other people are doing, how they're behaving, what they're reading, what they're buying, what they're watching, what they're sharing, what they're tweeting. It is so fascinating to me. I have a sociology degree and a social science degree, and I got those before the word social media existed. So I've just always been very interested in people that were different than me, how they behaved, why they behaved that way. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of just genuine interest in what we call people is the core foundation of anybody that has great people skills. Not everybody has the gift of gab. Well, guess what? The internet makes it easy for introverts to engage with people, you know?
Yeah.
It's actually way more comfortable for them. So, you know, if you love people, you're going to love social media.
Awesome, man.
You know, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. And I'll tell you, man, so I have a dual major, sociology and religious studies. I wanted to know what individuals did, and I want to know what groups did, how groups interact, and how you move big groups of people towards, you know, a result that you want. So anyhow, all right, man, Chris, I always suggest to my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this episode, to reach out and say thank you to you. And maybe somebody wants to explore working with Curator Systems. Where can people find you?
Sure, they can just send me an email, chris@curator.com. It's CURAYTOR.com, and I'm happy to email back and forth. I'm also pretty easy to find online. If you just search Chris Smith Curator, that'll pull up all my social media accounts.
Got it. Awesome. And look, Chris, for everybody else, all this stuff, if you're riding your bike or walking your dog or driving your car, all this will be on the show notes at superagentslive.com. And Chris, I'll be the first guy to step up and say, hey, man, thanks for taking the time to come out on the show.
Cool. I appreciate it. Have a great day, Toby.
See you, bud.
Let's go.